Hello students. Today we will learn a beautiful poem of class 6, The Kite. Students, have you ever flown a kite or seen a kite flying? Isn't it amazing to pull the strings of a kite and see it soaring high up in the sky? In this poem, the poet has given a verbal picture of flying a kite. Let's see the poem. How bright on the blue is a kite when it's new. A kite, when it is new and it goes up in the sky, on the blue here represents a clear sky. So when a new kite goes up in the sky, it appears so bright. With a dive and a dip, it snaps its tail. Like a diver dives in water, takes a dip and then comes up. In a similar way, the kite takes dive in air and then comes up and fly, snapping its tail. Snapping means moving quickly, making a cracking sound. You must have seen when a kite flies, it moves its tail quickly. So it moves its tail quickly and then flies high. Then soars like a ship with only a sail. Then it soars, that means to fly high. Sail is a cloth that is used to propel a ship. Like a ship with a sail soars in water, that means moves on the tide of sea. In a similar way, a kite moves on the tides of air. As over tides of wind, its ride. So, a kite moves on the tides of waves of wind. Climbs to the crest of a gust and pulls. Crest means on the top. Gust means flow of air. So, the kite flies on the top of gust of air and then it pulls itself up. It goes up in the sky. Then seems to rest as winds fall. Wind falls. Then wind falls. When the wind becomes slow, kite also comes down and seems, kite also becomes stable and seems as if it is resting. When a string goes slack, what happens when the wind falls down? The string of the kite, it becomes loose. Slack means loose. The string becomes loose. You wind it back and run until a new breeze blows. Then you pull it back and pulling its string, you run until a new air flows and its wings fill and goes up it goes. And then the wings of the kite fills with air and then again it goes up in the sky. So when the string becomes loose, you pull it, you run with it until a new air blows. And when the air blows, the wings of the kite, it fills with air and then again it goes up in the sky. How bright on the blue is a kite when it's new. So when a new kite flies in the blue sky, it appears so bright. But a raggeder thing. Raggeder means worn out, totally torn. So when this kite becomes a torn or damaged thing, but a raggeder thing you will never see when it flaps on a string in the top of a tree. When the kite gets stuck on the top of a tree and it starts flapping its wing in an attempt to come down. But what happens? It gets damaged. When it gets stuck on the top of a tree, it gets damaged. It becomes a totally worn out, a torn thing. So this was the poem Kite by Harry Ben. Let's see what is rhyming scheme, students. Rhyming scheme is a pattern of rhyme that comes at the end of each verse or line in poetry. So in a poetry, at the end of each line, there comes a pattern of words. The way words make similar sound or doesn't make similar sound. That is called rhyming scheme. Let's see in these lines. We will see the last words of each line. Here in line 1 and 2, blue and new, they have similar sound. So we will give them A letter. Then dip doesn't rhyme with any of the above. We will give it B. Tail also doesn't rhyme with any of the above. We will give it C. Now see ship. Ship rhymes with dip. So we will give it B. Sail rhymes with tail. So we will give it C. Now the rhyming scheme as we see is A, B, C. So in a rhyming scheme, we see the last words. We see if the sound is similar. If sound is similar, we give them similar letter. So this is how the rhyming scheme becomes A, B, C. Now let's see what is simile. A simile is a figure of speech in which two things are compared using words like as, like or so. When two things They are dissimilar things, but they are compared using these words as, like, a so. It is called a figure of speech, simile. Like in these words, in these lines, then soars like a ship with a sail. Here, kite and ship are two different things, but they are compared. Their ships sailing in water is compared to kites flying in the air. So there is a simile here. A figure of speech is a phrase or word which has different meaning but same literal meaning. Figure of speech are used to beautify a poem. They can be different, but due to some similarity, they have some similar literal meaning. Let's see some more examples of simile. Like he runs like a leopard. Leopard and boy, he here is boy, are two different things. But since the boy runs very fast, he is compared to a leopard. Similarly, he eats like an elephant. She sings like a nightingale. It shines like a star. It flies like a bird. These are all examples of similes. Now list out action words in the poem. What are action words called? Action words are verb. Verb are words which show action. So in the poem, dive, dip, snaps, soars, climbs, rest, run, blows, goes, flaps. All these are showing action. So all these are verbs in the poem. Let's see some questions. Why is the kite compared to a ship? The kite is compared to a ship because as ship sails in the tides of sea, in the similar way, the kite sails in the tide of air, moving up and down with the gust of wind. So like ship sails in water, kite, it sails in the air. That is why kite is compared to ship. When does the kite become a regular thing? The kite becomes a regular thing when it flaps on a string in the top of a tree. When the kite gets stuck on the top of a tree and it flaps its wing, it gets torn out and then it becomes a regular thing. So students, this was the poem The Kite. I hope you have understood the explanation, question answer, rhyming scheme and simile. If you like the video, please press like button and subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much. I will see you in my next video.